Good evening. Welcome to this week's Friday Study Circle. And Sarda ji had forwarded me a text on karma. So if I can share that in case she wants to go first, we can take that up. Sarda ji, should I share that?
Yeah.
Okay.
This bit a long passage, but we'll reflect on first 2-3 paragraphs at least.
See the screen share?
Sorry?
Can you see the screen share? Is it?
Yeah.
So you can read and you can just guide me as to if you want to go up and down.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
1 minute. Yeah, I'll read the urban Dhonian model of karma. The conventional view of karma is that of a rigid, ethical, mechanical, and almost revengeful law of nature, which brings to rewards for good deeds and punishment for evil actions. We are told that the individual who commits evil today will suffer in some future life, while the good person is suffering right now because of some evil act done in the past. This definition seems unconvincing at times because it does not explain the many anomalies seen in real life. In his works, Sri Aurobindo presented a more flexible panoptic model of karma. He observed that nature is not rigid or revengeful, but subtle and liberal in her application of law, working through multifaceted principles to achieve her aims. This article is a distillation of his thoughts. So, yeah, we'll go to the background and I'll read the whole paragraph, then we'll reflect. Is it okay, Taru? Hello?
Yes. As ever, however you want to go for it, because again we are just 3 of us, so we can even take this in more depth, because there's less people to share, so we can take this in depth. So feel free to go into any details that you would like to. Thank you.
Thank you, Taru. The goal of the divine working through nature is evolution, individual as well as collective. The divine has plunged itself into creation for self-delight and self-finding through the play of multiplicity. The goal of evolution is advanced through the law of karma, which binds the soul to the community of other souls as well as to nature as a whole. Karma records the action of individuals, communities, and nations, and then provides feedback in the form of obstacles and opportunities which further the developmental process. When the soul outgrows the physical form, it incarnates in another body, another family and milieu, even another race or nation to continue its psychic growth. By virtue of rebirth, the soul also acquiesces to the hereditary karmic constraints of its new parents in the form of inherited diseases, predilections, etc. As the individual develops spiritually, he or she is able to choose the conditions of its next birth with sound wisdom and prudence. Commenting on the past karma that we inherit and bring into play, the mother Mira Alphasa observed, outer circumstances are merely the reflection of who we inwardly are. Yeah, one more paragraph, Taru, I have marked. I'll read that, then we'll reflect. Man may be born encumbered by the karma of his past lives, weaknesses as well as strengths. But nature has also endowed him with free will, which he can use to choose wisely and overcome the shackles of past encumbrances. Free will, as commonly understood, is a myth as explained in an earlier post, because 90% of our actions are predetermined by our fixed personality, as well as being secretly influenced by the forces of nature which whirl behind our thoughts and impulses. True free will matures when we evolve the power of self-awareness through yoga or companion techniques, when we stand back from the chaotic habits of the personality to exercise consent and reserve, grace and full comprehension. We can change our reactions to difficult circumstances. We can turn the constraints of karma to our advantage by accomplishing strenuous tasks under demanding circumstances. In this way, we cultivate the qualities of equanimity and fortitude which define our soul and stay with us in future lives. The apex of free will is attained in the self-realized individual who acts in harmony with nature, adapting in her ways and acting through her as a willing instrument of the divine. Yeah, this much I read, Taru. It was so interesting. As I shared with you already, I was listening to Sister Shivani's talk. So she was also mentioning about the same theory. See, if somebody is rude, it does not mean that he is against you or she is against you. Maybe just because of your past karma. But how to get rid of that karma, how to balance that account, you don't have to react in a rude way. You can be calm and quiet and you just look and answer quietly. So that the account, you have done something in your past birth, so they are reacting that way. But I was not able to understand when she was saying, see, it is even now, it feels that, it's not fair. We do not know who we were in last birth, but how can it affect? But it affects, but in this birth, we can at least change that. See, Mother herself said, no, in the previous paragraph. What is that? Can you scroll? Yeah, outer circumstances are merely the reflection of who we inwardly are. What does it mean actually? Outer circumstances. See, what we are facing now is not ourselves. It's because of something else which is deeply inside us. Is that the meaning?
Yeah, Sardaji, I think I would want to say two things here. First, when you started talking about karma and how we usually take it in a very negative way, right? Like here also it says that why do good people suffer? Why, we hear this question quite often, that why does bad things happen to good people, right? Like this is a very common question. So I think here what I feel is that I would like to challenge the definition of good and bad. If somebody gets cancer, we say that, oh my God, right? Like they have cancer, this is what they are doing, this is how much they'll be suffering, oh my God, right? But say as a result of that cancer, I mean, it's a possibility they pass on and it's a possibility they don't. But as a result of the cancer, the being wakes up, right? You realize maybe that what the life that I am living, right? Like, and I have seen a lot of people, I mean, not a lot, but still whose life has changed after traumatic events and diseases and, like big tragedies, because we are such, how even Sri Aurobindo, I think it's him who says that we are dog's tail, right?
Yeah.
Like we are so, in the sense, there's so much inconscience in us that unless we are like very badly shaken, and that most of the time repeatedly, right? We need one more wake-up call and one more wake-up call and one more wake-up call, and it's maybe then if we are lucky by grace we might wake up. So first, things are not what they appear to be to us with our narrow visions, right? Because in my narrow vision, I have rigid definitions about what is good, what is bad, what is harmful, what is beneficial, right? If something gives me comfort, I say it's very good, right? And if something makes me struggle, I say, oh my God, what is happening with my life? Because I'm looking at just the comfort of the body, the relaxation of the mind, but I am here on this realm for growth, for evolution, for experiences, right? So firstly, I would want to say that and I'm talking about myself, right? That my definitions mean nothing. I might not live this fully, but if I at least believe in it, even I don't know, 10%, the roots of my, I don't know, certainties are shaken. And I feel that's enough to begin, right? So that is the first thing, that I, being who I am, does not know what is good or bad, what is punishment or what is a gift, right? So I don't know if you know, but even for Monica, her blog's title is The Gift of Cancer.
Yes, yeah.
So that's the title, The Gift of Cancer. And it sounds paradoxical, right? And I think the more integrate, you look at life factually, you will see more and more and more paradoxes, right? Like, and we were discussing it last time too with Captain, how it's like what appears to be often is not, right? It's just crazy.
Yes.
I think that is the one thing before we get into karma, that we have to challenge our definitions of how we, I don't know, our conditionings, our views, our images. I think that is one thing that would help us in understanding it more. And the second thing that you were asking was, I just share the screen, that what does that? Outer circumstances are merely the reflection of who we inwardly are. This is really interesting. They say the world is a mirror, right? And I had, the hardest time personally understanding this, and I'm not sure even if now I fully understood it, most likely not, but it's like if you see something bad somewhere, that thing is in you itself. Like if you see jealousy, if you see somebody getting jealous, it's 100% certainty that there is jealousy in you. Otherwise, mother says that you will not be able to recognize jealousy, that that person is being jealous. I couldn't understand that, but now I'm getting it more. Should I repeat that? Like, unless you have a trait in yourself, you will not be able to recognize it outside of you. So that is the first thing. And basically,
Taru, sorry for interrupting. So can you give an example to just?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so once what happened was that I had gone somewhere, and I had said, like, I don't know, somebody in my family said thank you to the driver. Okay, and the driver told me, the car of my boot is full of thank yous.
Full of, okay.
So basically, the way he said it was a bit sarcastic. That's what I understood. That if you want to give me a bigger tip, what will I do with thank yous? Because my boot is full of thank yous. Okay, that is one way of seeing it. Secondly, Monica once was, I don't know, she was at the Gnostic Center, and she had a very long way. I mean, it's a very long way from Gnostic Center to the main road. And I don't know, she had some car issues or whatever. So a cyclist gave her a lift. He gave her a lift. And she went outside, he dropped her, and then she said thank you to him. And the guy said exactly the same thing to her, that I don't need thank yous. I already have so many thank yous, kind. So I took it as a sarcastic comment when it happened to me. Because for me, money meant bigger, was bigger than a thank you. But for her, because she doesn't have that characteristic probably in her, she took it as, oh my God, how grateful that person was, and how blessed that person was, that he said that, oh, I am just full of thank yous. What do I do with it? She took it as a grace. So I'm not saying what is what, but when she shared that with me and I recalled my incidents, I just felt that what you don't, she could not fathom that this can also be a sarcastic comment because she doesn't have that sarcasm in her. You know how a lot of times when people don't lie and when people lie to them, people can't understand, right? Like, why would you lie, right? Why would people lie? Because they just don't have that. Maybe, we all lie, that's the truth, but I'm talking about exorbitant lies, right?
Okay.
Why would you do that? Life is so much simpler without it. So it's a bit tricky to understand, but this is how it is. And if I don't have a certain characteristic, first of all, I would not be able to see it. Secondly, it's like, whatever I am, I see outside. It's like I have this body and I have this mind. Whatever the frame of mind I am in, right? Like, say, if I'm content, I would feel everything is perfect, right? I would, like, even if I'm sitting alone, I'll feel totally complete and at peace. While if I'm stressed or if I'm not feeling okay, I would feel lonely in a crowd. So basically, because what is inside me reflects outside. If I'm happy, I'll ooze out happiness, I'll spread happiness. If I am frustrated, I'll be snappy, I'll be angry, right? That's why they say don't give from your cup, give from what overflows, right? That first take care of yourself, be your friend, and then you will be able to befriend the world. So I don't know, said a lot. Captain, would you want to please share your like, I don't know, anything or comments or any reflections on this thing, this sentence? Outer circumstances are merely the reflection of who we are inwardly.
In fact, we do not know what was in the what I was in the previous birth and what will be in the next. So it's very difficult to comment on the past karma actually, and to do the karma also is very difficult because it's total unattachment. We have to do the karma. We have to be I have to be first totally detached. I should not have any aspiration that I am going to get this in lieu of this. So it becomes a business actually. Like in one place, the Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was suffering from cancer, throat cancer. So there were 4 or 5 very good doctors of Calcutta at that time. They were there, and one doctor, of course, he was Mahendralal Datta, his charges were the maximum 32 rupees per visit those days. So he was charging maximum, and he was trained in UK. He did his MBBS and all. And here he was practicing homeopathy, though he was trained in allopathy there, but he was practicing homeopathy here. So these 4 or 5 doctors are there. So Ramakrishna is telling that, see, these doctors are supposed to be doing the social service. Social service means you should not expect anything from the patient. Patient is surrendering you fully, and you are treating you as a god. And when you are going to treat that person, you should not ask for money in lieu of money. The moment you are charging money, that means it is a business. So it is no longer the karma, like good karma, bad karma, and all this comes. So here, like in the definition of karma, you should be totally unattached. So there should not be any desire behind this. If I do the job in this way, this will be good karma, and if I don't perform in this specified way, then it will be bad karma. So to decide itself for us, it becomes very difficult at any stage of time. But we are brought up in a particular condition, and we are going through this surrounding atmosphere. and the social situations and the rules and regulations in book. And if my conscious is telling inside me that yes, I have done to my satisfaction, I have done with full concentration and with total devotion to God, so that may be termed as a good karma. Otherwise, I should not expect anything in return from that good karma. Whether I will not suffer in my life or whether I will suffer in life for the bad karma. I think these are not very good sign to relate with. I must do my job, and the result I leave it to the God or Almighty or Mother, whoever I'm believing in. So that was the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, as well as every great person said like this: to do a karma is very difficult. The outer circumstances, as it is rightly said, that this is the reflection of who we are inwardly are. So we do not recognize much. To study a person, the reflections also is very difficult, because as per our experiences, past experiences, we try to judge a person. So the outer circumstances means when the circumstances comes, so we do not know why these circumstances has come, how, and so probably even in that gives a reflection of inwardly those who are really doing sadhana, probably they will be able to understand that this outer circumstances are really what we are inside. In fact, even I do not know myself, who am I? Like we are in that stage. So for me to tell others by looking at outside or circumstances in that, so this was a very difficult task, actually. So this was the thoughts which are coming to my mind. Thank you.
Captain, when you were sharing, another thing just touched me, that, how there's one person, and if you talk to, I don't know, usually, I mean, a lot of times I've seen that if there are 4-5 people, they would have a different opinion about that person. Somebody would say, oh my God, he's so kind. Other would say, oh, he's judgmental. The third one would say, oh, it's like we perceive the same person in different way. I think that is also one of, would go under this category, that because we see what we want to see based on our experiences, like you were sharing, our past and, our conditionings, we see the world through those eyes, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Because always we do that. Anyone and everyone, we are so confident because our conditioning which has taken place all these ages. So and that I factor, that is what we have, that I know the correct thing and all this, that ego. So these all mixed up, and then we it comes to my mind. Yes, this is this. This is this. I don't think that this is a correct judgment, actually. I will prefer to keep quiet in this judgment in this situation.
We may keep quiet and yet the mind talks, right? So the real quiet would be that I get no movement. That would be, really. I remember there's a way Ram Krishnan. Yeah, there was a story in the Upanishads about this, wise person called Ramakrishnan, who used to work in a king's castle. Sorry, king's fort, whatever it is, palace. And his role was that whoever comes to the king, whoever, a learned man comes to the king, Ramakrishnan would tell the king how learned he is. How much, with like whatever he was talking, how much wisdom it is in what he was saying. And the king would reward him accordingly. So if Ramakrishnan would not like a certain person who has come and shared what he had to, he would just pay for the going and coming, the amount he spent. He would not give any reward. So some of the saints, these scholars got a bit upset with him, and they went to Ramakrishnan's guru and they complained to him that, see how egoistic he is, that he is kind of trying to control the king. So the Guru scolded Ramakrishnan without even doing it, knowing it firsthand, that what is this? I think you're speaking too much. So then Ramakrishnan said, he just realized as he that now I will not speak. Like that's it. I will not speak now. He took the Mauna. And then after a few, I don't know how many years or whatever, he realized that what is the use of this Maun, because the mind is chattering all the time. I am saying I am Maun. But it's like absolutely superficial. And then, he connected deeper and deeper and he tried to silence his mind. And how it's like, it's a very beautiful story about his journey into himself, that how he realized that just not talking, it means nothing. We have to, like, when mother says that the true stillness is, when there's not even a trace of anything in you. If something happens, like still, no movement, like no up and down, fear, anxiety, judgment, opinion. It sounds like such a beautiful state that is also my possibility. So I think we have to be careful about the mourn and the silence also. And if any thought comes, just offer it that it came, but I don't want it. Yeah, it's very beautiful. Yeah, so what we were reading, I also like this, and I think it's very important to note this again, because somehow about karma, we all have this perception that it's revengeful. Yeah, and again, no matter what you read, if you are not reading dogmatic, I don't know, some made up text, God is kind, right? They say he's like, obviously a father, right? Why would a father, how can a father ever be revengeful? If there's something that is there for your learning, how we were talking that this is all towards evolution. It's all for our growth. So using terms like rigid or revengeful, or, you'll have to pay for what you did.
Yes.
I mean, misbehaving, or if I did something which was not good, and if I have to be good, so if I'm given certain tough situations that convert me into being good, then that's good for me, right? That's not bad. So again, these rigid and revengeful, these things we have to take out from our mind, because I don't know, so many religions, they are built on guilt. They are built on fear that if I do this, I'll have to do this, like this thing. And that's really sad that we are able to accept that it would work on guilt and fear and punishment. So again, here it's, this is what it says, is evolution. So that is your comfort and convenience and good health are not the goal of nature. It is evolution.
So here the takeout, points are the previous para you just mentioned. Can you, yeah. So the goal of the divine working through nature is evolution, individual as well as collective. No, can you scroll a little bit more?
So sorry, yes.
Yeah. Just now you are mentioning something, no? It was very nice. Yeah, nature is not rigid or revengeful, but subtle and liberal in her application of law. This line is really beautiful. When you were just mentioning about this, it went into my mind. It is very nice. Yeah, because, we always say, God fearing. Why should we fear God? No, we should only love God. God is all love. He's merciful. But, maybe we are brought up like that. God fearing. I'll take a screenshot of this so that
you have it. This is your article only.
No. See, when we discuss, some lines will be very, very powerful when we read. I didn't observe this, but when you mentioned it was, very nice. Yeah. Nature is not rigid or revengeful, but subtle and liberal in her application of law. Beautiful. And another point also I got when you were mentioning, so karma need not have to be bad. When suffering comes, it does not mean it is going to give you some punishment. It can give some enlightenment also, no? We will definitely have some positive, good things. We'll learn so many things from the sufferings. So many times. We are not, if we are aware, if we go to that stage, yeah, definitely. That is also there. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yes, I mean, Sadhaji, it's like, it can sound like a word play, right? That you're just trying to play with words, or now that things are bad, you're just trying to see the silver lining. But if you get past those and actually factually look back, the only time when we have learned or evolved, when we have become better than what we were, I'm not talking about materialistic productivity. I'm talking about actual, things that I was able to overcome something in me. It was only when there was darkness, it was only when there was pain, and when, I was hanging by the thread and I had no other choice. So, and that's true for so many other lives that, pain and suffering, we all run from it. When fear comes, we don't want to look at it. We don't want to face it. Because there's something, because I don't know, fears that if we face it, it would have nothing to fear. We would have nothing to fear. So how would it control us? Jokes apart, right? Like, I think there's something like this. That is why it's so much bigger than, the cloud around it is so much bigger, the smoke cloud, that we are scared to approach it. But whoever, whenever we have walked, kind of done anything in fearlessness, it is only when we have this thing that, come what may, I have to do this. And then we are able to totally transcend the situation, walk through it, and then we were like, oh my God, I was scared of this. But then we have to again repeat it in the next situation. The sad thing is that it's not that if you do something once or twice, or in one or two relations or circumstance, it will just be blanket. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So we have to keep on doing it till it, dawns and it becomes the nature, which is hard because we have lived on the other side for I don't know how many lifetimes, that I don't know, how long it would take to get over the things that we have been sitting on. So even this one, the goal of evolution is advance through the law of karma. That okay, you did this, so maybe you need this to be better than that, or learn this or grow from this. That's it. There is no punishment, there is no revenge. And I also remember reading this, although it's not very directly related, but I would say it still is. There's this very beautiful story in which, somebody had asked the mother that, the astrologer, like he was in Pondicherry, and the astrologer has said, this will happen to me, this will happen to me, what do I do? And mother said that, you came in a ship, right? And when you are going back in a ship, he said, yes. He said, now that you are under the divine, now that you are under Shri Aurobindo, do yourself a favor and throw this astrology chart in the ocean on your way back. It doesn't apply to you. And even like, what Captain was mentioning, so in the Upanishads also there is this thing about, and in Buddhism also, how to get over the laws of karma. There was this sentence like this, I'm not saying the exact word, that how do you get over the cycle or the law of karma? And the answer was, give up your desire for fruits. So basically, like Captain was saying, that whatever you do, it's like, say, if it's like mother says, it is done for the divine. Like, use me as your instrument. The instrument doesn't have agendas. The instrument doesn't think that if I do this, I will get this. So if you give up the fruits, if you give up that, okay, I'll do this and this is what I'll get, or this is what will happen to me, if that is given up, then the laws of karma do not apply to you, because then you are not doing anything, right? Yes, Captain.
Like in Bhagavad Gita, there's a karmanye adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Means you should never dream that what will come if I finish this job sincerely or something and all this. We should never, whether I badly performed or I performed in the best way, but I should not come for the count for the result. What will the result will come and all this. So because it has got various angles associated with to do the perfect karma, it's very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult. In the karma yoga, in Bhagavad Gita, there is a chapter itself is karma yoga. So in there itself, it says karmane bhadikarastu. We have got the permission only to work, perform action, but do not wait or for the result, how there it will come, positive or negative.
You already have, obviously, we have discussed this is already obviously in bold is also a very big takeaway. Outer circumstances are merely the reflection of, it's like even if we believe in it, I don't know, I would say 10%, somehow we stop taking things very heavily, right? Like when I can know, somewhere in me that I am creating this, or, I don't know what the reality is. This is my perception and it has no bearing to the truth. Then it's easier for us to surrender it or offer it or, step back from it, and the light comes then. When we get too close or when we get too rigid, the light has no space to enter. So, and moving on, the free will. So it says 90% of our actions are predetermined by our fixed personality, because we are so rigid. We don't live fresh. We are just, images and perceptions and conditionings. So fixed personalities, as well as being secretly influenced by the forces of nature, which whirl behind our thoughts and impulses. The true will mature when we evolve the power of self-awareness through yoga. So in the harmony circle also, we were talking about awareness, that we are awareness alone. So unless we realize what is happening, how can we use free will, right? Like if I'm totally being puppeted and I don't realize I'm being puppeted, and if I don't realize that it's a possibility that I'm not puppeted, I am not puppeted. So even knowing that is pretty beautiful. So when we stand back from the chaotic habits of personality to exercise consent with reserve, grace, and full comprehension, we don't even know what's happening. So she's talking here, we're talking about full comprehension. We can change our reactions to difficult circumstances. We can turn the constraints of karma to our advantage by accomplishing strenuous tasks under demanding circumstances. So free will is for the self-realized individual who acts in harmony with nature, adapting to her ways, acting through her as a willing instrument of the divine. So there is no looking for fruit. Yeah. Yes, Adaji, is there a quote you want to share here?
Yeah. Actually, I stopped reading because today, before the session, I read. I don't know why. It was showing the backside. Yeah. So I have not read more than this.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we'll take more of it next time. Let's complete this, because I think it's a very important, thing to go through and get it out of our system, because there's a lot of misperception. We have misunderstood it. So it will be really good to clear it for ourselves. So thank you for getting the document and sharing it with us.
Yeah, I was feeling it is very big, but I thought, no, next time, at least we should go into this.
Yeah, even this was great. just gave a lot of new insights.
Yeah, beautiful.
So whoever wants to go next, please unmute and share. Thank you so much.
I was reading something. Effort gives joy, and the paragraph starts. An aim gives a meaning, a purpose to life, and this purpose implies on effort.
I'm sorry, there was some. Yeah, could you just repeat one?
An aim gives a meaning, a purpose to life. Yes, yes, yes. An aim gives a life. Yes. So here I'll just read out. A heading of the chapter is effort gives joy. An aim gives a meaning, a purpose to life, and this purpose implies an effort. And it is an effort that one finds joy. Exactly. The mother says exactly. It is the front, it is the effort which gives joy. A human being who does not know how to make an effort will never find joy. Those who are essentially lazy will never find joy. They do not have the strength to be joyful. It is effort which gives joy. Effort makes the being vibrate in a certain degree of tension, which makes it possible for you to feel the joy. It is only effort in whatever domain it be, material effort, moral effort, intellectual effort, which creates in the being certain vibrations which enable you to get connected with universal vibrations. And it is this which gives joy. It is effort which pulls you out of inertia. It is effort which makes you receptive to the universal forces. And the one thing above all which spontaneously gives joy even to those who do not practice yoga, who have no spiritual aspiration, who lead quite an ordinary life, is the exchange of forces with universal forces. People do not know this. They would not be able to tell you that it is due to this, but so it is. So I was reading this that from the school days we are taught an aimless man is like a sheep without a rudder. So here the mother is telling exactly. So we have to have the aim, and to make that aim as a meaning, purpose to life, we have to have that effort. And mother says that we have to have that effort. Unless that effort is there, we cannot find joy. So, like a lazy person will not be able to find the joy. I've seen that in my life whenever I was taking some challenging job, and there are a lot of efforts required to perform that action. And after finishing this, the satisfactory of the organization, and I used to find some joy inside. And whenever the hierarchy of the bosses they used to know, then they used to have the deep consideration for my action, that yes, this was the correct action. So I'll just give an example here. I joined Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Bangalore, after retirement from Indian Air Force after 37 years. Now, there, when I joined there was a case that in a particular year, the 8 Jaguar aeroplane were supposed to be manufactured by HL, but because we could not produce a single one, we have to pay the liquidity damages. Say it is about 1,000 crores. So when I read that, and the case was closed because it was 5 years back, the case has taken place. So they say that it is now date is expired, so this is closed. So whatever you have paid 1,000 crores, so that cannot be given you back. So I went through the case and I saw that there is some problem in that, but if we are taken up clearly, means nobody can deny this. So once I was convinced, then the case was taken up and I went there and the files are all opened and things like that. It went on for about a year. And then finally, I proved to the highest authority there in Delhi that the contract was signed on 31st of March. That was the end of the financial year. Government has, Indian airports had so many thousands of rupees surplus, which they could not spend, and they had to be surrendered. Instead of surrendering, they signed a contract on 31st of March to HL, giving them the requirement that 8 aircraft are to be produced in this year. So you are signing in the night, and few seconds or few minutes are left to become 12 o'clock on 31st of March, and you are expecting 8 aircraft you should have already manufactured within these few seconds or something. So once I saw that, and I have gone and just opened that contract and have shown to see the date of contract and see the delivery schedule. And the person who was there, the secretary, he jumped from the chair. He said, how can that take place? I said, it has taken place, it is in the written condition. I came back and made the case in that way from HL, the chairman and all, and we got 1,000 crores back. In short, I'm just. So what was happening is that there are a lot of effort I had to go through. I have not narrated the total incidents and stories, but there are a lot of effort to take place in every, to go against their will and this and that. And amount was not small. It is 1,000 crore. Our earning was about that much in a financial year in HM. So whereas this we are losing 1,000 crores. So then finally, so I was finding so much of joy, and I was known by chairman and all this. Any problem of this nature is to come, then I was called personally, surpassing all those other senior officers above me and all that. Because this gives a, like here it says that vibrations comes. Like when this person understands at the top who are monitoring this, they know each other, they everything actually. What was the nature of job and how difficult was it and all this. So, like here, it says that the vibrations with the from the top when we are doing yoga or something. So, with that vibration, our mind vibration also should match. Once it matches, so there is a reverberation takes place. Then we find the joy. When you are doing a karma, and we get that vibration inside that sincerely I have finished that job. And so there is some sort of vibration in that. So that gives the joy. So unless I am taking an effort, so there is no question of expecting some joy. That's what mother has very clearly said, that unless a lazy person will never find joy. So it will be like this, a normal life they will pass through. Because in the mind itself, we are so lazy that we do not get into that that effort. So without an effort, so this is the really we cannot taste the joy. That's all.
Yeah, thank you, Captain, for sharing. There's just one thing, you said that, and it's just the words that if one doesn't do effort, one should not expect joy, but I feel that most of the times you're doing that effort because there's no other option. You want to do an effort, the effort, because you resonate with the cause, or it's important for you, or you feel it will take you somewhere. And joy is a byproduct, right? That it's not an expectation that I will, whenever we work hard, it just seems hard. Like it doesn't, we don't even feel there would be joy in it. And yet when you are, putting in those, burning those night oils and, kind of thing, joy comes. Even if there's a small text or, a proverb that you're not able to understand. And if you're just sitting with it and suddenly it dawns that, okay, this is what it probably meant. Suddenly you feel that joy, right? Like that just, oh, this is, something clicks and there's just, so I think this word expectation here we'll have to, I think, probably not put in, because it's just, it feels like it's a natural occurrence that when you are doing something and you want to do that thing, right? It's not again just, I don't know, scanning things or just doing those whatever, mechanical chores. If your heart is in it, like you said, you believe very strongly in that, right? And it was, a lot was at stake, the stakes were high. So the joy of achievement or seeing something that the others couldn't, generally it just brings that. So joy, it just comes, it just rushes in. Yeah.
As a byproduct, actually.
Yeah, it's like, how they talk about expectations, that, and of course I've lived through this myself so many times, that when I really want something, I've never gotten it, like it's just, I've seen that I've been a beggar, sitting with a bowl that okay, at least give me this thing, at least give me this much, at least give me this much attention or this much this. But when I've been able to keep the bowl and walk, that I don't want anything now, I am good with how things are. Suddenly the other side is standing there that, oh, where are you going, take this, take. So it's like, it's very strange in life that when you run after things, they move further, and when you say that I don't want anything, they come to you. But it's not, I'm not talking about manipulating situations and saying that, oh, just say that you don't want anything. It's not that grapes are sour, but genuinely when you feel that, okay, now it's not needed, I'm good without it or anything, just a small example. Suddenly things change and it's there, and you honestly don't even want it anymore. So it's just this expectation thing. It's like, that carrot on the stick that you keep running after. One day you realize it's not happening, you throw it, and then you see what happens. Yeah.
But even the corollary also true. Like I've seen that people who are so joyful, and if we go and interact with them and we try to find out why the person is so joyful, you can see he has done something or he is doing something, and with a great effort actually. So it may not be telling others, but you can see in his face that glow and joyful every time. So he's in a position to contribute. I'm just talking the corollary portion. I try to find out why the person is so joyful. I'm talking about the function in the offices where they're working and all the different types of work people are performing. So corollary is also true actually. You can find out how
Yeah. Anything else from anyone? I had something to share on consciousness. It was very sweet. If you think it's a bit long, but it's very simple, we can go through it fast. So I just do today's. Okay, yeah. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can see.
Thank you. Yeah. So would anybody want to read? Like, I don't know, Nandini, would you want to read this thing if you have this quiet on your side?
Okay, I'll read.
Yeah, Badalji, please read. We don't have this thing, electricity here.
Okay. Uh, this morning, I got a letter from a little girl who asks me, "What is consciousness?" I asked my teachers, they answered me, "It was very hard to explain." Mother laughs. So she is asking me, and since she asked me, I have been looking at it. How can we express it? Do you know how it can be explained? Because the words we use are meaningless. Spontaneously, I would say it is the fire or the breath that carries the whole world. It is the fire that makes everything live, that makes the chest breathe, that makes the sea heat. That's not bad. What would you say? Here is what I found. It is the cause of existence, the cause and the effect of the at the same time. But that is not it. Your explanation is more poetic. It is more literary, but still I am not sure that is it. It is the substance of the world, what constitutes the world. If yes, if we say without consciousness there is no world, it is much truer, but it does not explain. That was my first answer. Without consciousness, no world, no existence. It is the breath or the force that carries the world, that makes it be. That is not bad. Let us note it down. Oh no, you are the one who must find it. I have to answer this child because otherwise we are lost in abstractions. Yes, and with abstractions, you use words that mean something else. That is all. But how do we perceive consciousness? Without consciousness, you cannot feel anything. Consciousness is indeed the basis of all things. Mother looks at the child's letter and hands it to Saprin. Sweet mother, I would like to know what is consciousness. I asked a teacher, but they said it's very hard to explain. I want your blessings so I do my exams well. You take my pronouns, your little daughter. Without consciousness, no existence. That is perfectly true. But it does not explain what consciousness is. But your explanation is poetic enough at any rate. In Indian philosophy, they put existence before consciousness. They say Sat Chit Ananda. So if we say Chit Sat Ananda, and it is not true. It is true, the rishis always spoke of fire, Agni, which is the primordial substance. But is fire consciousness? Yes, it becomes consciousness. It is consciousness. It is consciousness force. The rishi said, even in the stone, he is there. Even in the waters, he is there. Yes, when I had the experience of pulsations of love creating the world, the pulsation came first, and afterwards the consciousness of the pulsation. So we could define it like this: when the I never know which name to use became conscious of himself, that created the world. In the Upanishads, they say tapas created the world. Yes, tapas is power. It is fire too. No, tapas is power. Chit tapas is heat. They say sat chit tapas ananda. They put chit tapas together, and it is chit first, then tapas. It is the creative power of consciousness. But Sri Aurobindo always said consciousness force. Indissolubly, we cannot separate one from the other. There is no consciousness without force. and no force without consciousness. It is consciousness force. That is what the world is. At any rate, it is not a very philosophical way to put it at all. It is very childlike, but it is much truer than metaphysical sentences. When the world became conscious of himself, that created the world. So let us note down your definition for the child. No, your definition first, that is the first stage. Then the second stage, the human.
Captain, do you want to take a break? I think it's a very long thing, your voice about that. Yeah, it's like, it was very light, but it's a bit long. I'll take the last part. So basically, so when the Lord becomes conscious of himself, that created the world. Now your turn to say, it's for you to say. No, let me hear it. I don't know. Consciousness is the breath or the fire that carries everything. So this was very funny, but if I say fire, they'd immediately say, consciousness is fire then. The breath that carries everything, that makes everything breathe, Mother writes. Consciousness is the life of everything. So the breath that is the life of everything. No, that means you understand. It's going to go all around the school, one class to another, laughing. I know what's going to happen. So consciousness is the breath that makes everything life. There, she's lucky, that little one. Children are amusing. So, what I loved about this was, firstly, how it shows how Mother had to be so conscious of her definitions, because obviously whatever she says, the things can be picked up literally. So it has to have a certain form, a certain way. And yet I think, something as small as defining consciousness, we assume a lot of things, and yet going a little bit more into what is this consciousness on which the whole, I don't know, our existence seems to be, standing on, like how Sardaji's article also, it talked about self-awareness, that unless you're self-aware, you don't have free will, you're just being, puppeted. And this is what consciousness is again, right? Becoming conscious of who you are. So, very, I don't know, you were how it all out and how the answers came. So without consciousness, there is no world. It is a subset world. And this consciousness force, right? It's always together. That's also I found interesting. There's no consciousness without force, and no force without consciousness. Consciousness is the breath or the fire that carries everything. Consciousness is the breath that is the life of everything.
Even that synthesis of yoga, Aurobindo has used consciousness force. Yeah, consciousness force.
Yes. Yes. So, any comments on this? Any reflections? And then we can end. Okay, so I think then that's it. It was a beautiful reflection on, the topic. And
efforts.
Thank you, Sardaji and Captain, for coming.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Taru. Yeah, it was nice. My internet is gone now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. See you on Wednesday. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Sarataji.
Thank you.